Cody, congratulations on the new deal.
Thank you very much.
Out of curiosity, just what does it mean to you to know that you're going to be a member of this New York Yankees team for the next several years? And also, how close were you to going elsewhere?
Yeah, it feels good. I came last year. Um, the locker room and everything is a really special environment. And, Yankee Stadium was a special place to play. And I really enjoyed my time. And, this year, after lots of conversations with Scott and, the free agent process it's an interesting process for sure. And it's exciting as well. So, ultimately once, it all came to fruition there at the end, I'm very excited. I'm very excited to be back, and I'm feeling good. So I'm ready to get up to Tampa and get going.
We go next to Brian Hoke. Brian, go ahead.
Hey, Cody. This roster is going to look very similar to the one you guys had last year. What makes you confident that the outcome and the ending can be different?
Yeah, actually, I feel really good with that. Obviously, it might not be what everyone wants to hear, but I really do love the group that we had. We had a special unit. We had, great chemistry that, I don't think can be understood unless you're inside the clubhouse. We all played for each other. And, on top of that, we have some important pieces coming back. And, we all played well, and I'm excited to run it back with those guys, and I'm fully confident in the group.
Cool. Thank you.
We go next to Jack Curry. Jack, go ahead.
Hey, Cody, congratulations on the deal. I know every negotiation and then eventual contract is individual and distinct on its own. As this one was progressing, what was your temperament like? What was your attitude in terms of whether or not it would get across the finish line?
Yeah, good. I called Scott a lot. Had lots of conversations with Scott. And, he was great throughout the whole process. He, kept me even keel. He answered all the questions I had. And, the free agent process is interesting. It's a lot of unknowns. It's a lot of, are we going to live there? Are we going to live here? Two young kids now. So it's like, where are we going to put them in school? And, you add on these bunch of different things. So it's definitely an interesting process. There's a lot of unknowns. But it was very exciting. This process was long for sure. But it was positive, and Scott there was, very helpful throughout the whole process. And, he kept me very informed with everything.
And then a quick follow-up. We've heard both sides describe your relationship with the Yankees in terms like it's a perfect marriage. It's a seamless fit. Why? Why is it a perfect marriage? Why is it a seamless fit to have Cody Bellinger on the Yankees?
I think I can speak for myself, right? One, I felt right at home last year. The guys, they do a great job of building a good culture in that locker room. It's a very good culture. It's a winning culture. And, we all show up to win the game that day. And I was just excited to be a part of it. And, for me, I understand the talent that I have on the field. I understand the many different things that I can do on a baseball field. And I enjoy doing that type of stuff. And I think I can win a baseball game in many different ways. And that's what I strive to do. And I feel like I do a good job of that. And I expect to do a good job of that in the future.
Thank you.
Larry Fleischer from the AP. Larry, go ahead.
Hi, Cody. Obviously, you listen to pitches from other teams, and you were going to hear from other teams. But how much did you emphasize to Scott and your representation going into this and throughout the process that you wanted to return to the Yankees?
Yeah, I told Scott, I spoke my mind to Scott, all the time, whether it was, on any different occasion. And your question was, where'd you go? Your question was, yeah. What was your question again?
How much did you emphasize going into this and as it was ongoing that you wanted to return to the Yankees?
Yeah, I definitely really enjoyed my time. I love playing in New York, and I love the stadium. I made that very clear. I made it very clear, to Scott there as well. And the second part of it is, it's you worked, your whole life pretty much in order to get into this type of position, right? So you want to enjoy the ride, and you want to understand, you want to take in all these, many different things that are being thrown at you. So it's a combination of wanting to enjoy the process and hear what everyone's got to say, and also, ultimately expressing, what you really want and where you want to see your future at.
Thank you.
Larry, that's a sneaky cool vintage boombox you got there, man.
Thank you.
Ask another question, I'll call on you.
No, I'm good. I'm good. I'm all set.
We'll go next to Chris Kirschner, The Athletic.
Hey, Cody, congrats and welcome back. As we got closer and closer to spring training, was there ever any doubt in your head that you weren't coming back here?
I would say that there were days that I was unsure. I thought that, there's, like I was saying, there's many different things thrown at you. There's many different variables and different, interests. And, it all, usually you get a bunch of interests, and then, certain days where it all really starts to pick up. And that's when I'm on the phone with Scott, and he's telling me everything that's going on. He's keeping me in the loop, and I'm just there to listen and to express how I feel, and take it all in, and ultimately just make the right decision for me and my family.
Go next to Gary Phillips. Please unmute, Gary.
Cody, congrats and welcome back. You mentioned this being a long process. You've been through a long free agency previously. Was there anything from that first go around that you learned or applied that helped you here? Does it make you less antsy, more comfortable with drawing things out?
Yeah, I would say that each free agency process has been different. I think that this one was different than most. Coming off, really good season, and I was feeling, very good and confident in everything. And so, yeah, I forgot the question again. The Zooms are throwing me for a loop, but what was your question again?
Just if there was anything you took from that first prolonged free agency that you learned or applied, something that helped you kind of go through the process this time.
Yeah, I think each one is so different. Both times I've been on the phone with Scott, and he's very knowledgeable about the whole process, and he keeps me informed, and I just, express how I feel and what's on my mind. And ultimately we came to conclusions, every single time.
Thanks, Cody.
Move to Dan Martin.
Hey, Cody, good to see you. As someone who played for the Dodgers and who's on a team that's put together to beat the Dodgers, what do you make of what they've done this offseason, and what kind of a challenge is that? I know you've got a long way to go to get there, but to have a team like that and what they've done this offseason, what do you make of what their roster looks like and what they've done in free agency?
Yeah, it's truly special. I was blessed to be drafted by them. I was the only organization I knew for so long. And, I'm really blessed that I was able to come up through that organization. They treat players very well. They're just very good at developing players. They just, they do everything well. And on top of that, they're putting all the product into the field. So as a competitor of the Dodgers, it's baseball. Anything can happen. And whenever you get into that moment, right, you expect to win. You expect to beat them. And it's obviously no easy task. But I think the beautiful thing about this game is it is probably the most unpredictable game. And so you just got to trust in yourselves and go fight. And I really like the group that we have here to go do that.
Thanks.
Move on to John Schwartz, Yankees Magazine.
Hey, Cody, you mentioned all the things that go into the decision. When you're considering all this stuff, how big of a draw is Aaron Judge, and the opportunity to keep playing with him and be his teammate and all that stuff?
Special, man, special. I mean, there's not enough positive words to say. I think, obviously we all know, what he does on the field. Is truly special, but just what he brings into the locker room, what he brings as a teammate, and the confidence that he instills in everyone in that locker room. He's a huge part of the success of this organization. And ultimately, when you have an opportunity to play alongside, future Hall of Famer already, and you want to go and you want to win that ring, right? You want to parade down New York City. You want it for Judgy, of course. You want it for the fans, and ultimately, that's the main goal here, is to have a parade down the city of New York, and that's what I want to do, and that's what I want to strive to do.
And did you speak to him at all during the process or no?
Yeah. We were texting back and forth, just casual conversations, nothing too serious, but yeah, we were talking throughout the process.
Back to Brian Hoke.
Hey, Cody, I wanted to follow up on the clubhouse environment you're talking about. You've played in LA, Chicago. What makes it different in New York and with the Yankees?
Yeah, I think for me, I'm very lucky. I'm very blessed, and I understand that because of those teams that I've played for. And I feel like in those types of places, obviously the Yankees are included, there's a type of bond and there's a type of commitment to winning in those locker rooms. And I don't know personally, but it's not like that everywhere. And so when you get into a locker room where it is about that, and it's about winning, and it's about doing it for each other, you don't really want to leave it. You know what I mean? Because grass ain't always greener on the other side, and I'm lucky enough to be a part of three really great organizations.
Take a few more. Peter Splendorio, the Daily News.
Hey, Cody, congratulations. Interested to know as well, just as far as conversation with people, did you talk much to your dad about maybe returning to the Yankees, given his lineage with the franchise and just what it has meant to your family now?
Yeah, ultimately, I had some good conversations with my dad, and ultimately, like, however long ago that is now, they gave him his shot from the 10 years in the minor leagues, right? And obviously was blessed enough to come up through that dynasty with the Yanks, and set my family up, well, my family up for the future, where we could grow up, go to nice schools, and so to the family, it definitely means a lot. It means a lot to him, and ultimately he just wanted me to be happy. He said, wherever that is, just go be happy, and that's the most important thing.
Cool. Thank you.
We'll go to Jack Curry. Jack, go ahead.
Cody, I know your focus has been on the Yankees and this contract, but Team USA reps have made it clear that they would be interested in having you play in the WBC. What's your thought process on that, and have you made any decisions about that?
Yeah, I've definitely want to do it at some point in my career. Obviously, you never know what the future holds. Don't think this year is going to be the year. I just want to, especially, getting the free agent and going into spring, you kind of just want to focus on what's at hand here and the task at hand. And I owe it to, Steinbrenner family and to the Yankee organization to go and get my best foot forward and try and win a championship.